Wow. In your practice, when you moved it, did it become predominantly an access point for children that some sort of challenge and it meant financial or access to care?
Sure, yeah. Melrose Park is, I believe it's still considered a medically underserved area, MUA. And our payer mix shifted significantly to more Medicaid-based practice, which was fine for a while. I think we got paid on maybe a third or a fourth of what private insurance is paid on average. But we were okay. It was more of a fee-for-service model. And not as many restrictions. Once the what are they called? The MCOs, the managed care organizations took over Medicaid in Illinois, everything changed.
And so so the because we're not there, so the neighborhood is mostly brown. The children are lower resources and on Medicaid, probably on Title One schools, and school lunches are provided at school.
Not, yeah, school lunches. My patient base was mainly children living in immigrant families. So one or both of the caregivers or whoever's in the household, a lot of immigrants, and then children sometimes themselves were immigrants or they were first generation children. There was an added layer, I think, of complexity just because with language barriers and cultural barriers and not really knowing how to navigate the system. One of the things that I think our practice provided for folks was a support system. We, most of the providers or workers in the practice spoke Spanish, and I speak Spanish. We also had a lot of South Asian patients spoke Gujarati, Hindi, and I think that language access was critical to building our patient base. And there's just a different connection you have when people can speak to you in their native tongue.
That
Absolutely.
is
So,
true because our practice has a lot of diversity. We have everybody. I don't speak Spanish, but I have nurses that do, and some of the doctors do speak Spanish. We had a doctor from Pakistan that had a big following that joined us, and patients they'll speak their native tongue, but with me they'll speak English. But I have a question for you. So if you had a lot of Medicaid or Child Health Plus, did you guys take advantage of the meaningful use when the computer time came around? Because that was like the new darling. Everybody wanted.
wow, yeah, meaningful use is so meaningful.
Mhm.
I would spend Yes, I would spend a lot of time working with someone in Springfield to learn how to click all the buttons for meaningful use. When EMRs first came into the picture, we took advantage of that. We adopted eClinical Works. We got government funding to do that. I think that was widely available. We were able to qualify for, I think, the first and second rounds of meaningful use. You have to go through and
A lot of hoops.
yeah, like lots of parameters and oh, you didn't follow this algorithm. You should have done it that way. You didn't click on this window. So by the end of practice, I had to hire someone to help us to meet those measures, like a whole extra person, ancillary staff member to help us get the patients logged on. And the other thing is, some of my patients didn't have internet, they didn't have email addresses. This was maybe a decade ago,
Yeah.
right? When we're all starting out, people who don't necessarily are new to the country and don't have income, they have a few extra hurdles. We would help people put together or log into their portals and show them how to navigate the portal. And those were all really, those are difficult. I feel like when I finally, I think the third or fourth round, I didn't qualify. And I wrote my person in Springfield this letter that I hope you realize that you contributed to me closing because it was such a burden to meet these measures. And even when you tried not being qualified, it was upsetting.